The alarm blared through the space station and Minho ran toward the docking bay. His heart pounded in his chest as he checked his communication device. The alien ship was arriving early. They were not ready. Jiwoo, are you there? Minho spoke into his device. I'm here, Captain. I'm at the bay entrance. Jiwoo's voice came back, calm and steady. That was good. Minho needed calm right now. Minho reached the observation window and stopped. Outside, floating in the darkness of space, was a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. It looked like it was made of glass or crystal. Light moved through it in waves of blue and purple. It was beautiful and strange. Jiwoo stood next to him, eyes wide. It's incredible, she whispered. Minho nodded. This was humanity's first real contact with intelligent alien life. Sure, they had found bacteria on Mars years ago. They had discovered ancient ruins on a moon near Jupiter. But this was different. This was a living, thinking species reaching out to them. The crystal ship docked with their station. The airlock hissed and opened. Minho straightened his uniform. Beside him, Jiwoo held a tablet with translation software. The technology was new and untested. They hoped it would work. A figure emerged from the airlock. It was tall, perhaps 7 feet high. Its body seemed to be made of living crystal, constantly shifting colors from blue to purple to white. It moved smoothly, almost like it was floating. Where a human would have a face, there were smooth planes that caught and reflected light. The alien stopped several feet away from them. It did not come closer. Minho took a breath and stepped forward. Welcome to Station Horizon 7. I am Captain Minho. This is Jiwoo, our xenobiologist. There was a moment of silence. Then the tablet in Jiwoo's hands chimed. A voice came from it, mechanical but clear. I greet you, Captain Minho. I greet you, Jiwoo. I am grateful for this meeting. What should we call you? Jiwoo asked, her voice soft with wonder. My name in my language cannot be spoken by your mouths. You may call me Crystalline One if that is acceptable. It's perfect, Jiwoo said, smiling. Minho noticed that Crystalline One did not move closer. The alien stayed at least 6 feet away from them. Please, will you come to our meeting room? We have prepared refreshments, though we are not sure what your species needs. I appreciate your kindness, but I must tell you something important before we proceed. Crystalline One's translated voice became more serious. My people are called the Valthine. Our bodies produce a form of radiation. It is harmless to us, but deadly to carbon-based life forms such as yourselves. If I touch you even briefly, you will die within minutes. Your cells will break apart. Minho felt a chill run through him. Jiwoo's smile faded. We must maintain distance at all times, Crystalline One continued. I am sorry. I know that your species values physical closeness. I have studied your culture. But for your safety, we must never touch. Jiwoo looked down at her tablet, then back at Crystalline One. We understand. Thank you for warning us. How much distance do you need? 6 feet should be safe. I will be careful. They moved to the meeting room, maintaining the distance. Minho explained that Earth's government had authorized this meeting. Humanity was expanding into the galaxy and wanted to meet neighbors peacefully. Crystalline One listened carefully. Then the alien began to speak about her people. The Valthine came from a system 3 months away by human ships. They were an ancient species, having existed for over 1 million years. But now they faced a crisis. Our star is dying, Crystalline One said. The mechanical translation could not hide the emotion in those words. It is happening faster than our scientists predicted. In 50 years, maybe less, our worlds will be uninhabitable. We have ships, but not enough. We have technology, but not enough time. We need help. Minho exchanged a look with Jiwoo. This was bigger than just first contact. This was the entire species facing extinction. How many Valthine are there? Jiwoo asked. Approximately 8 million individuals. Minho did quick calculations in his head. Moving 8 million individuals across space would require massive resources. Ships, supplies, coordination. It would take years. We will need to speak with Earth's government, Minho said carefully. But I promise you we will help if we can. Humanity knows what it means to face extinction. We nearly destroyed ourselves twice in our history. We understand. Crystalline One's body flashed bright blue. Jiwoo's tablet chimed. That is hope, the translation said. The color blue means hope for my people. They talked for hours. Crystalline One showed them images of the Valthine worlds. Crystal cities that grew like forests. Art made of light and sound. Poetry that was expressed in color changes. It was a rich ancient culture. Jiwoo asked hundreds of questions. She wanted to know everything about Valthine biology, culture, and history. Minho watched as his friend leaned forward eagerly, completely absorbed in the conversation. He had never seen Jiwoo so engaged. Suddenly, the station shook. Alarms began to sound. Minho grabbed his device. "What's happening?" "Solar flare incoming, Captain," a voice responded. "It's big. Systems are overloading," Minho swore. "We need to get to the control room now." He started to run, then stopped. Crystalline One could not touch human controls. The aliens' radiation would destroy the equipment. "I can help," Crystalline One said. "Tell me what to do." They ran together, maintaining their distance. In the control room, power was failing. Screens flickered. The station's shields were barely holding against the solar radiation. Minho and Jiwoo worked at the controls, rerouting power and strengthening the shields. Crystalline One watched the screens and called out warnings when she saw problems forming. The aliens' eyes could see energy patterns that humans could not. For 30 minutes they worked together, human and Valthene, fighting to save the station. There was no time to think about fear or strangeness. There was only the work. Finally, the solar flare passed. The shields held. The station was safe. Minho collapsed into a chair, breathing hard. Jiwoo leaned against a console. Crystalline One's body had turned a deep purple color. "That color?" Jiwoo asked, still catching her breath. "Respect," the translation said, "and friendship. You trusted me in a crisis. You let me help, even though I am strange to you, even though I am dangerous to you. This means much to my people." Minho looked at the alien, then at Jiwoo. Something had changed in the last 30 minutes. They had worked together, saved each other. The distance between them suddenly felt different. Not like a safety measure, like a barrier, like something that should not be there. Jiwoo smiled at Crystalline One. "We make a good team," she said softly. Crystalline One's body flashed blue again. Hope Minho had a feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger than a simple diplomatic mission. He was right. 3 months had passed since that first meeting. Minho stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the fleet assemble. 30 human vessels, both military and civilian, prepared to help the Valthene evacuation. Earth's government had agreed to help. It had not been an easy decision, but humanity had voted yes. Jiwoo was not on the bridge. She had transferred to the lead transport ship, the one that would work directly with the Valthene. She had volunteered immediately when the mission was announced. Minho had tried to talk her out of it. "You will be away from Earth for years," he had told her. "Living on a ship coordinating the evacuation, it will be hard work." Jiwoo had just smiled. "I know. I want to do it." Minho understood why, even if Jiwoo would not say it out loud. She wanted to be near Crystalline One. In 3 months of planning meetings and video calls, Minho had watched a bond form between his friend and the Valthene envoy. They talked for hours about science, culture, and philosophy. They shared stories and ideas, but they could never touch. Now Jiwoo's voice came over the communication channel. "Transport 7 to Fleet Command. We are ready to begin the first evacuation run." "Confirmed, Transport 7, Minho replied. "Safe journey, Jiwoo." "See you in 3 months, Captain." Minho watched Jiwoo's ship detach from the fleet and set course for the Valthene home system. 29 other ships followed. The largest evacuation in human history had begun. On board Transport 7, Jiwoo checked her equipment one more time. The ship had been specially modified for Valthene passengers. Separate sections with different atmospheres. Communication systems that could translate in real time. Everything had been designed to keep humans and Valthene safe from each other. "Jiwoo?" The mechanical voice came from the speaker. Crystalline One was already on board in her designated section of the ship. "I'm here," Jiwoo said, smiling even though Crystalline One could not see her. "We are on our way. 3 months travel time. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Your people are giving us a chance to survive." "We want to help," Jiwoo said simply. The journey to the Valthene system was long. Jiwoo and Crystalline One talked every day. They could see each other through clear barriers, but always with 6 feet of space between them. Jiwoo learned about Valthene art and music. The Valthene expressed emotion through light. Crystalline One would change colors as she spoke, and Jiwoo learned to read the patterns. Blue was hope. Purple was respect. White was joy. Red was anger or passion. Green was sadness. Crystalline One learned about human culture too. Jiwoo taught her about Earth's history, about music and poetry, about the wars humans had fought and the peace they had built. She shared pictures of Earth's oceans and forests, places where crystal beings could never safely walk. "Your world is beautiful," Crystalline One said one day. "I wish I could see it in person." "Maybe one day we will find a way," Jiwoo said. She did not know how, but she hoped. On Earth, Jiwoo's sister Hana read the reports from the transport ships. Hana was a medical researcher, one of the best in her field. She studied the data about Valthene biology. The radiation they produced was complex. It operated on frequencies that human technology barely understood. Hana had an idea forming in her mind. A dangerous idea. She started running simulations. Back on the transport ship, the evacuation work continued. They made 4 trips, each taking 3 months' travel each way. On each trip, they brought 200,000 Valthene to their new home. Earth had given the Valthene a moon in a system that humans controlled. The moon was rich in minerals and had the right conditions for crystal-based life. The Valthene called it New Valthos. It was not as beautiful as their original home, but it was safe. The cities grew quickly, crystal structures rising from the moon's surface like trees. Jiwoo watched the cities grow during each return trip. Crystalline One worked beside her, coordinating the settlement. They made a good team. What had started as a professional partnership had become something deeper. One day during their 5th journey, Crystalline One's body flashed red. The color was intense, pulsing. "Are you okay?" Jiwoo asked, concerned. There was a long pause before Crystalline One spoke. "I must tell you something. In my culture, we have a word. It translates roughly to your concept of bonding. When a Valthene finds another being they wish to share their existence with, we perform a ritual." Jiwoo's heart beat faster. "What kind of ritual?" "We touch. We place our hands together and share our light. It is the deepest form of connection my people know. Physical contact is sacred to us because it is so rare. We can only touch others of our kind safely." "Oh," Jiwoo said softly. "I tell you this because I feel this bonding toward you, Jiwoo. I wish I could perform the ritual. I wish I could touch you and share my light. But I cannot. It would kill you." Crystalline One's color shifted to deep green. Sadness. Jiwoo pressed her hand against the clear barrier between them. "I feel it too," she admitted. "I think about it all the time. What it would be like to really meet you. No barriers, no distance, just us." "It is impossible," Crystalline One said. Green deepened in her form. "Humans are good at impossible things," Jiwoo replied. That night, Jiwoo sent a long message to her sister Hana. She explained everything. The bond she felt, the impossibility of it, the longing. Hana read the message 3 times. Then she looked at her research, the simulations she had been running, the theories she had been developing. It was crazy. It was dangerous. It might not work. But Hana knew her sister. She knew that look in Jiwoo's voice even through a written message. This was not just a crush. This was something real and deep. Hana made a decision. She would try. On the transport ship, Jiwoo and Crystalline One continued their work. The evacuation was 40% complete. 4 million Valthene had been saved. 4 million more remained. But now their conversations had changed. There was a weight to their words, an awareness of what could never be. One day, Crystalline One asked Jiwoo about human concepts of love. Jiwoo tried to explain. She talked about romance and friendship and family. She talked about the 1,000 ways humans showed affection. Holding hands, hugs, kisses. All of these require touch, Crystalline One observed. Most of them. Yes, Jiwoo admitted. Then how can we ever truly understand each other? We are separated by our very nature. Jiwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I don't know. but I know that what I feel for you is real. Distance does not make it less real. It just makes it hurt more. Crystalline One's body went pure white, joy mixed with green sadness. You honor me with your words. I wish I could embrace you. One more touch and you're dead, Crystalline One whispered through the translator. It was not a threat. It was a lament. A statement of painful fact. Jiwoo looked at her friend through the barrier. I know, she said. But that does not stop me from wishing. Far away on Earth, Hana worked late into the night. She had assembled a team. Scientists and doctors who were willing to try something never attempted before. They were going to find a way to bridge the gap between human and Valthine. They were going to make the impossible possible, because that is what humans did. Hana stood in front of the review board and tried not to show her nervousness. 20 officials sat before her, representatives from Earth's government and the Science Council. They had the power to approve or reject her project. Let me understand this correctly, said Chairman Park. You want to develop a cellular shield that would protect humans from Valthine radiation, so that we can touch them? Yes, sir, Hana replied. And you believe this is a good use of resources? We are in the middle of the largest evacuation effort in human history. We have limited funding and personnel. Hana had expected this question. She had prepared her answer carefully. Sir, this project is about more than just personal contact. If we can safely interact with the Valthine without barriers, we can work together more efficiently. Medical care, emergency response, technical cooperation, all of these would improve dramatically. It was a good argument. It was also not the whole truth. Hana was doing this for her sister, for the pain she heard in Jiwoo's messages, for a chance at something beautiful in a cold universe. One board member leaned forward. The preliminary research suggests this is extremely dangerous. The test subjects could die. All volunteers will be fully informed of the risks, Hana said, and we will take every precaution. The board talked among themselves for what felt like hours. Finally, Chairman Park spoke. We will approve a small research program. Limited funding. You have 6 months to show results. If the project is not viable by then, we pull the funding. Thank you, sir. That is all I need. Hana left the meeting and immediately contacted her team. There were 12 of them, scientists from various fields. They had all volunteered to work on the project despite the long hours and low pay. One team member was Su Yun, a bioengineer with a reputation for brilliant but risky ideas. He had been kicked out of 2 universities for breaking ethics rules. But his mind was exactly what Hana needed. We have 6 months, Hana told the team. Let's get to work. The science was complicated. Valthine radiation worked on a quantum level, disrupting the bonds between atoms in carbon-based molecules. It was fast and thorough. A human who touched a Valthine would feel nothing at first. Then within 5 minutes, their cells would simply fall apart. Hana's solution was to use nanites, tiny machines smaller than cells that could form a protective shell around human tissue. The nanites would absorb and redirect the Valthine radiation, keeping it away from vulnerable cells. The problem was power. The nanites needed enormous energy to maintain the shield, and they would degrade quickly under the radiation assault. The team's best estimates gave them 30 seconds of protection. Maybe a minute if they were lucky. 30 seconds is not enough, Hana said, staring at the simulations on her screen. It is more than 0 seconds, Soo-hyun pointed out. It is a start. They built the nanites over 3 months. Tiny machines assembled molecule by molecule. It was delicate work that required absolute precision. One mistake and the nanites would be useless. Or worse, harmful to the human body. On the transport ship, Jiwoo knew nothing about her sister's project. Hana had not told her. She did not want to give Jiwoo false hope. The evacuation continued. Jiwoo and Crystalline One worked side by side, separated by barriers and distance. The longing had become a constant ache. They avoided talking about it. It hurt too much. One day disaster struck. A Valthine transport ship had a reactor malfunction. It was drifting, losing power. 2,000 Valthine were on board, and the life support was failing. Jiwoo's ship raced to help. They docked with the damaged transport and began evacuating the passengers. But the reactor was unstable. It could explode at any moment. Someone needs to go into the reactor room and manually shut it down, the chief engineer reported. But the radiation levels are too high. A human cannot survive in there long enough. I can do it, Crystalline One said. The reactor radiation will not harm me. Tell me what to do. They gave her quick instructions. Crystalline One entered the damaged ship through a special airlock. She moved through the corridors toward the reactor room. Jiwoo watched through cameras, her heart in her throat. The reactor room was a disaster. Exposed wires and leaking coolant. Crystalline One moved carefully, following the engineer's instructions over the radio. She reached the manual controls. I see the shutdown lever, she said, but it is jammed. I need to force it. Pull with all your strength, the engineer said. You have to move it at least 6 inches. Crystalline One pulled. Her crystalline body flashed red with effort. The lever did not move. Jiwoo watched the screen. She could see the reactor temperature climbing. 90 seconds until critical failure. Pull harder, Jiwoo urged. You can do it, Crystalline One changed tactics. She braced herself against the wall and pushed the lever with both hands. Slowly, painfully, it began to move. 60 seconds. The lever moved another inch, then another. 30 seconds. With a final burst of effort, Crystalline One shoved the lever all the way to the shutdown position. The reactor began to power down. The temperature started dropping. Crystalline One collapsed against the control panel. Her color was a pale blue. She was exhausted. You did it, Jiwoo said, tears running down her face. You saved them all. I had good instructions, Crystalline One replied weakly. In that moment, Jiwoo made a decision. She ran to the airlock. She was going to cross over to the damaged ship. She was going to help Crystalline One back to safety. Jiwoo, no, the engineer shouted. The radiation levels are too high, and she is in there. If you touch her, I know, Jiwoo said. But I have to help her. Minho's voice came over the radio. He had been monitoring the situation from his ship. Jiwoo, do not do this. We can send a remote drone to help her. Drones are too slow. She is hurt. She needs help now. Jiwoo's hand was on the airlock door. She was ready to open it. Ready to risk everything. Then Crystalline One's voice came through, stronger now. Jiwoo, if you come to me, I will leave. I will run deeper into the ship where you cannot follow. I will not let you die for me. Jiwoo's hand froze on the door. But you need help. I am recovering. Give me 5 minutes. I will return to the airlock myself. Please, Jiwoo. Do not make me responsible for your death. I could not bear it. Jiwoo stepped back from the door. Tears of frustration ran down her face. She hated this. Hated the distance. Hated that she could not help someone she cared about. 10 minutes later, Crystalline One made it back to the airlock. She crossed over to Jiwoo's ship. They stood on opposite sides of a barrier as always. Thank you for not following me, Crystalline One said. I know it was hard. I wanted to help you, Jiwoo said, her voice breaking. I wanted to be there with you. Not separated by walls and distance, I know. I want that too, more than I can express. That night, Jiwoo sent an emergency message to her sister. Just 3 words. Please hurry, Hana. On Earth, Hana read the message. They were only halfway through their 6-month timeline. The nanites worked in laboratory tests, but they had not tried them on a living human yet. Soo-hyun volunteered immediately. I will be the test subject, he said. We need to move faster. Hana looked at her colleague. He was brilliant and reckless and exactly what they needed. Are you sure? I am sure. Let's make history. The next day, they prepared Soo-hyun for the first human trial. They injected billions of nanites into his bloodstream. Then they waited. The nanites spread through his body, integrating with his cells. Soo-hyun's temperature spiked. He felt like he was burning from the inside. But the readings were good. The nanites were working. After 6 hours, they brought in a sample of Valthene crystal. Just a small piece carefully contained. They moved it close to Soo-hyun's hand. Do it, he said through gritted teeth. They touched the crystal to his skin. The nanites flared. Energy readings went crazy. Soo-hyun felt a tingling sensation but no pain. 30 seconds passed. The nanites held, then they failed. The crystal had to be pulled away quickly before it started damaging Soo-hyun's cells. But it had worked. For 30 seconds they had worked. Hana allowed herself a small smile. It was not enough time, but it was proof that the impossible could become possible. They just needed to make the nanites stronger. News of the successful test spread quickly through the scientific community. 30 seconds of protection was not much, but it was revolutionary. For the first time, a human had touched Valthene material and survived. The test also revealed problems. Soo-hyun spent 3 days in medical care recovering. The nanites had protected him, but the energy drain on his body was severe. He was exhausted and weak. We need better power management, Hana told her team. The nanites are drawing too much from the host's cellular energy. Maybe we are thinking about this wrong, said Do-yoon, the team's xenoanthropologist. We are trying to block the radiation. What if we could redirect it instead? Let it pass through harmlessly. It was a good idea. The team went back to work with new energy. 3 more months passed. The evacuation was 70% complete. Jiwoo had been away from Earth for over a year now. She had changed during that time. She was quieter, more focused. The constant separation from Crystalline 1 wore on her. Minho visited the transport ship during a supply transfer. He barely recognized his friend. Jiwoo looked tired. There were shadows under her eyes. You should take a break, Minho told her. Come back to Earth for a month, rest. I cannot leave, Jiwoo said. The work is not done. The work will still be here when you return. But you are exhausted, Jiwoo. I am worried about you. Jiwoo looked at her captain and friend. I am fine. I promise, but she was not fine. Taeyong, the ship's counselor, had tried to talk to her several times. Jiwoo refused the sessions. She knew what he would say, that she was forming an unhealthy attachment, that she needed to accept the limitations of the situation. Jiwoo did not want to accept limitations. She wanted to fight them. Crystalline 1 was struggling too. The Valthine did not experience emotions the same way humans did, but she felt the strain. Her colors were often muted, less vibrant than before. Other Valthine noticed and worried about her. You care too much for the human, one of the Valthine elders told her. It will only bring you pain. Their lives are so short. Even if you could touch, she would be gone in the blink of an eye compared to our lifespans. I know, Crystalline 1 said, but I cannot help what I feel. She has shown me what true courage looks like. She risks everything for us, asking nothing in return. How can I not honor that with my feelings? The elder's color shifted to purple. Respect. You are young still. Only 300 years. You have much to learn about loss. Perhaps. But I would rather feel this pain than feel nothing at all. On Earth, Hana's team made a breakthrough. By layering the nanites in a specific pattern and using a different power source, they could extend the protection time to 2 minutes. It was still not much, but it was progress. More importantly, the physical strain on the host was much less. Soo-hyun underwent the second test and felt only mild fatigue afterward. We are getting closer, Hana said. But we need more time. More resources. The 6-month deadline was approaching. The review board would meet again soon. Hana prepared her presentation carefully. She had results to show them now. Real, measurable progress. But Chairman Park was not easily impressed. 2 minutes is not practical, he said when Hana presented her findings. What can you accomplish in 2 minutes? More than you can accomplish in 0 minutes, Hana replied. Sir, we are pioneering completely new science here. Every second we gain is a victory. But is it worth the cost? We have spent considerable resources on this project. Resources that could have gone to the evacuation effort. Hana took a breath. She had to make them understand. Chairman Park, members of the board, let me tell you what this is really about. It is about proving that different species can truly connect, not just work together, but really know each other. The Valthine are going to be our neighbors for centuries. Maybe forever. Do we want that relationship built on permanent separation? Or do we want to show that humanity can bridge any gap? The room was quiet. Then one board member spoke up. I have read the reports from the evacuation. The cooperation between humans and Valthine has been remarkable. But there is always that barrier. That distance. I wonder what we could achieve if we could remove it. Another board member nodded. The girl Jiwoo, the xenobiologist. I have read her reports too. The bond she has formed with the Valthine envoy. It is extraordinary. And it is built entirely without physical contact. Imagine what it could become if that barrier was removed. Chairman Park looked around the room. He could see which way the vote was going. Very well, he said. You have another 6 months. And increased funding. But I want to see significant improvement, not 2 minutes. I want at least 5. Hana left the meeting both elated and terrified. 5 minutes was a huge jump. Could they do it? Soo-hyun thought they could. We need to redesign the nanites from the ground up, he said. Make them smaller, more efficient. And we need volunteers to test them. 20 people volunteered for the trials. They came from all walks of life. Scientists, soldiers, ordinary citizens. They all wanted to be part of something historic. The tests were grueling. Each volunteer received the nanite treatment and then underwent exposure to valthene materials. Some trials succeeded. Others failed. One volunteer ended up in the hospital for a week, but slowly, steadily, they improved the technology. 3 minutes of protection, then 3.5, then 4. On the transport ship, Jiwoo received a message from Hana. It was encrypted and marked urgent. Jiwoo read it in her quarters alone. The message explained everything. The nanite project. The tests. The goal. Jiwoo read it 3 times. Her hands were shaking. This was real. Her sister was trying to make the impossible possible. The message ended with a question. Would you volunteer to undergo the procedure? It is dangerous. You could die. But if it works, you could touch her. You could truly meet her. What do you say? Jiwoo sat in the dark of her quarters for a long time. She thought about the risks. She thought about Crystalline One. She thought about what it would mean to hold her friend's hand. Just once, she wrote back to Hana. 1 word. Yes. Then she went to tell Crystalline One about the project. She found the valthene in her section of the ship, working on settlement plans for the next group of evacuees. I need to tell you something, Jiwoo said. She explained everything. The nanite project. The tests. What they were trying to achieve. Crystalline One listened in silence. When Jiwoo finished, Crystalline One's color had gone completely white. Then it shifted rapidly through several colors. White, blue, red, green. Joy, hope, passion, and fear all mixed together. You would risk your life for this? Crystalline One finally asked. For the chance to touch me? Yes, Jiwoo said simply. Why? We work well together as we are. We have found ways to connect despite the barriers. Because barriers should not exist between friends, Jiwoo said. Because when you care about someone, really care, you should be able to show them. Not just with words or colors or through screens, but with presence. With touch. That is what makes us human. We refuse to accept that anything is impossible. Crystalline One was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. I am afraid, she admitted. Afraid that you will be hurt. Afraid that I will lose you. My people live for centuries. I have watched other species rise and fall. I have made friends who aged and died while I barely changed. The pain of loss never gets easier. Then you understand why this matters, Jiwoo said. Life is short, especially human life. We do not have centuries to wait for a perfect solution. We have now. We have this moment. I want to use it to know you, really know you. Without barriers. What if the procedure fails? Crystalline One asked. What if you die? Jiwoo smiled. Then I die trying to touch a friend. There are worse ways to go. Crystalline One's color shifted to deep blue, the deepest blue Jiwoo had ever seen. Hope so bright it was almost painful. When? Crystalline One asked. In 2 months when we return to Earth. Hana says they will be ready then. 2 months. Crystalline One repeated. It seems both forever and no time at all. I know, Jiwoo said. But we have waited this long. We can wait a little longer. That night both of them dreamed of touching, of a moment when distance would not exist, when 2 different forms of life could meet, truly meet without fear of death. Just 2 more months. Then they would know if humans could really make the impossible possible. The transport ship docked at Earth's orbital station 2 months later. Jiwoo had not been home in over a year. She stepped off the ship and felt Earth's artificial gravity under her feet. It felt strange after so long in space. Hana was waiting at the docking bay. The sisters looked at each other for a moment. Then Hana pulled Jiwoo into a tight hug. I missed you, Hana said. I missed you too, Jiwoo replied. Thank you. For doing this. For trying. Do not thank me yet. We still have to do the procedure. And Jiwoo, I have to be honest with you. It is going to hurt. A lot, I know. I am ready. They walked together to the medical research facility. Hana explained the latest developments as they went. The nanites were now 4th-generation technology. They could provide up to 4 minutes of protection. The team was working on extending it further, but 4 minutes was where they were now. 4 minutes, Jiwoo said softly. That is enough time for a hug. Maybe a conversation. Maybe, Hana said. But Jiwoo, you need to understand what the procedure involves. We are going to inject billions of nanites into your bloodstream. They will spread through your entire body. Every cell will be touched by them. Your immune system will fight them at first. You will have fever, pain, nausea. It will last for 3 days, maybe more. And after that, if your body accepts the nanites, you will be able to withstand Valthene radiation for short periods. But there is a cost. The nanites degrade over time. You will need regular treatments to refresh them, and we do not know the long-term effects. You would be the first human to live with this technology permanently. Jiwoo nodded slowly. When can we start? Tomorrow. We need to run some baseline tests on you first. Make sure you are healthy enough for the procedure. The tests took all day. Blood work, scans, evaluations. Young Jae, the medical officer, supervised everything personally. He was careful and thorough. This was his friend's sister. He would take no chances. You are healthy, he told Jiwoo that evening. Your body should handle the nanites well. But I have to ask you one more time. Are you sure about this? Really sure? I am sure, Jiwoo said without hesitation. That night Jiwoo could not sleep. She lay in her quarters thinking about tomorrow. About pain and risk and possibility. About Crystalline One waiting on a transport ship in orbit. They had talked briefly after Jiwoo arrived. Crystalline One's colors had been muted, anxious. Be safe, Crystalline One had said. Please be safe. I will try, Jiwoo had promised. Morning came too quickly. Jiwoo reported to the medical bay at dawn. Hana and her team were already there, preparing the equipment. The nanites were in a suspension fluid contained in a large injector. This is it, Hana said. Last chance to change your mind. I am not changing my mind. Let's do this. They put Jiwoo on a medical bed. Straps held her arms and legs in place, not to restrain her but to keep her from hurting herself during the worst of the pain. Youngji inserted an IV line. This will help with the pain, he said, but it will not eliminate it. Nothing can eliminate it completely. I understand. Hana held the injector. Her hand was steady, but her eyes showed her fear. This was her sister, her only family, and she was about to cause her terrible pain. I love you, Hana said. I love you too. Now do it. Hana pressed the injector against Jiwoo's arm and activated it. The nanites flooded into Jiwoo's bloodstream. For a moment nothing happened. Jiwoo lay still, breathing normally. Then the nanites reached her cells and began to integrate. Jiwoo's body went rigid. Her eyes went wide. A scream tore from her throat. The pain was beyond anything she had imagined. It felt like every cell in her body was being torn apart and rebuilt. Fire and ice at the same time. Her temperature spiked to dangerous levels. The machines around her bed began beeping alarms. Stay with us, Jiwoo, Youngjae said, checking her vital signs. Fight through it. The pain went on and on. Hours blurred together. Jiwoo drifted in and out of consciousness. When she was aware, all she knew was agony. When she slept, she had fever dreams of crystal beings in cold space. Hana stayed by her sister's side the entire time. She held Jiwoo's hand through the straps. She whispered encouragement. She felt every scream like a knife to her heart. On the second day, Minho came to visit. He stood outside the medical bay, watching through the window. Jiwoo was thrashing on the bed, fighting the restraints. Her skin was pale and covered in sweat. Is she going to make it? He asked Hana. I do not know, Hana admitted. Her body is fighting hard. The nanites are spreading, but her immune system is attacking them. We are giving her suppressants, but it is a delicate balance. Suppress too much and she will be vulnerable to infection. Suppress too little and her body will reject the nanites. She is strong, Minho said. Stronger than anyone I know. She will survive. I hope you are right. Crystalline One also came. She could not enter the medical bay because of the radiation risk, but she stood outside and watched through the window. Her colors cycled through green and blue, sadness and hope. This is my fault, she said to Minho. Jiwoo is suffering because of me. No, Minho said firmly. Jiwoo is suffering because she chose this. Because she wants to know you without barriers. That is not your fault. That is her decision. Honor it. On the third day the fever broke. Jiwoo's temperature began to drop. Her thrashing stopped. She fell into a deep natural sleep. Youngji checked the scans. His eyes went wide. The nanites have integrated successfully. They are spreading through her entire system, forming a network. This is incredible. Hana let out a breath she had been holding for 3 days. She did it. She survived. Jiwoo woke up on the 4th day. Her body ached, but the burning pain was gone. She felt different. There was a tingling sensation under her skin, like a slight electric current. How do you feel? Hana asked. Tired, sore, but alive. Jiwoo managed a weak smile. Did it work? The nanites are integrated. Now we need to test them. Are you ready? Give me an hour to eat something first. I am starving. After food and a quick shower, Jiwoo returned to the medical bay. The team had prepared a testing chamber. Inside was a small piece of Valthene crystal carefully contained. We will expose you gradually, Youngjae explained, starting with minimal contact. If you feel pain or discomfort, tell us immediately. Jiwoo entered the chamber. The crystal sat on a pedestal in the center. She approached it slowly. This was it. The moment of truth. She reached out her hand and touched the crystal. Immediately she felt the nanites activate. They surged to the point of contact, forming a protective barrier. There was warmth but no pain. The crystal's surface felt smooth and cool against her fingertips. How long has it been? Jiwoo asked. 30 seconds. Hana called from outside the chamber. How do you feel? Good, it tingles, but it does not hurt. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 3. At 3.5 minutes, Jiwoo began to feel heat. The nanites were struggling now, but they held. At 4 minutes, she pulled her hand away. The nanites slowly powered down. Jiwoo looked at her hand. The skin was slightly red, but otherwise undamaged. She had done it. She had touched Valthene material for 4 minutes and survived. The medical bay erupted in cheers. Hana was crying. Youngjae was shouting victory. Even Minho, watching from outside, allowed himself a smile. But Jiwoo only had one thought. She looked at Hana and said, "Bring her here. Bring Crystalline One, I want to meet her. Really meet her." It took 2 hours to prepare the meeting chamber. They needed a space large enough for both of them, with proper air for Jiwoo and the right atmosphere for Crystalline One. They needed monitoring equipment in case something went wrong. Finally, everything was ready. Crystalline One entered from one side of the chamber. Jiwoo entered from the other. They stood 6 feet apart as they always had, but this time it was different. This time the barrier could come down. Are you sure? Crystalline One asked. Her color was shifting rapidly. White and blue and red all at once. Joy and hope and fear. I have never been more sure of anything, Jiwoo said. She took a step forward. Then another. Crystalline One did the same. They moved slowly, carefully. 3 feet apart, then 2. Then 1. Jiwoo raised her hand. Crystalline One raised hers, their fingertips touched. The nanites flared to life instantly. Jiwoo felt their power surge through her. But there was no pain, just warmth and a sense of connection. Crystalline One's entire body went pure white, brighter than Jiwoo had ever seen. The color of absolute joy. I can feel you. Crystalline One whispered. You are warm. So warm. Jiwoo smiled through her tears. Then, slowly, she pulled Crystalline One into an embrace. The Valthene's crystalline form was solid but smooth against Jiwoo's body, cool and warm at the same time. Crystalline One wrapped her arms around Jiwoo in return. They stood there holding each other. No barriers, no distance. Just 2 beings who had defied the laws of biology to touch. Outside the chamber, Hana watched with tears streaming down her face. Minho stood beside her, his hand on her shoulder. 28 seconds, Youngjae called out, monitoring the time. 30 seconds, 35. But Jiwoo did not care about the time. She only cared about this moment, this impossible, beautiful moment. She had smiled and embraced her anyway. And the universe had not ended. Instead, it had become a little bit bigger. The embrace lasted exactly 4 minutes and 12 seconds. When Jiwoo finally pulled away, both of them were trembling. Crystalline One's colors cycled through every shade Jiwoo had ever seen, and several new ones. The Valthene was overwhelmed with emotion. Jiwoo felt exhausted. The nanites had worked perfectly, but the energy drain was real. She sat down heavily on a bench in the chamber. That was the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced, Crystalline One said softly. Me too, Jiwoo agreed, breathing hard. Worth every second of pain. Youngjae entered the chamber to check Jiwoo's vitals. Her temperature was elevated and her heart rate was high, but she was otherwise fine. You need to rest now. Let your body recover. Over the next 3 days, Jiwoo regained her strength. The nanites stabilized in her system. The team ran constant tests, monitoring every aspect of her health. Everything looked good. News of the successful contact spread across Earth and to every human ship. It became the top story on every news channel. A human and a Valthine had touched. The impossible had happened. Minho stood before the Earth Council and reported on the breakthrough. The council members listened with rapt attention. "This changes everything," one council member said. "If humans and Valthine can safely interact, the possibilities are endless. Medical care, engineering projects, cultural exchange, all of it becomes easier." "We should offer the nanite treatment to anyone who wants it," another member suggested. "Volunteers who want to work closely with the Valthine." Chairman Park was more cautious. "We must be careful. This technology is still experimental. We do not know the long-term effects. And it is expensive. Each treatment requires rare materials and skilled technicians. But the benefits outweigh the costs," Minho argued. "This is about more than just practical considerations. This is about proving that different species can truly connect. We are building a foundation for future generations, one where biological differences do not mean permanent separation." The council debated for hours. Finally, they reached a decision. The nanite treatment would be made available but carefully controlled. Volunteers would be screened. The treatment would be reserved for those who had genuine need and purpose. 50 people applied within the first week. Scientists, diplomats, engineers, all wanted to work more closely with the Valthine. All were willing to undergo the painful procedure. Suyun was selected as one of the first new recipients. He had already undergone earlier versions of the treatment, so his body was somewhat prepared. His procedure went smoothly. Within a week, he too could touch Valthine materials safely. On the transport ships, the evacuation continued. But now there was new hope and energy. Humans and Valthine could work side by side in ways they never had before. Engineers could physically assist with repairs. Medical personnel could treat Valthine patients directly in emergencies. The improvement in efficiency was immediate. Evacuation times decreased. Fewer accidents occurred. The work became safer and faster. Jiwoo returned to the transport ships after her recovery. Crystalline One was waiting. When they met again, they did not embrace immediately. Instead, they simply held hands, fingers intertwined. The simple touch meant everything. "How long can we do this?" Crystalline One asked, looking at their joined hands. "About 4 minutes at a time. Then I need to rest for several hours while the nanites recharge." 4 minutes. It seems both very long and very short. "It is more than we had before," Jiwoo said. "And the technology is improving. Hana says they might extend it to 5 or 6 minutes within a year. Your sister is remarkable. Your entire species is remarkable. You refuse to accept limitations. That is what makes us human," Jiwoo said with a smile. They returned to work on the evacuation, but everything felt different now. They could stand close to each other. They could touch in passing. Small moments that humans took for granted became precious. One day, Crystalline One took Jiwoo to the Valthine section of the ship. She wanted to show Jiwoo something special. They entered a chamber filled with other Valthine. 20 crystal beings, all different colors and sizes. "These are the elders of my people," Crystalline One explained. "They wanted to meet you, to thank you." The eldest Valthine was a deep purple color, ancient and wise. She approached Jiwoo slowly. "We have lived for thousands of years. We have seen countless species rise and fall, but we have never seen anything like this. A human who would risk death to touch us. Your courage honors us." "I only did what any human would do," Jiwoo said. "We believe that connection is worth the risk." "Not all species believe this," the elder said. "Most keep their distance from things that could harm them. But humans run toward danger if it means helping others, toward pain if it means making a friend. This is your gift to the galaxy." Another Valthine stepped forward. This one was younger, bright blue. "I wish to undergo the bonding ceremony with a human. Is this possible now?" Jiwoo looked at Crystalline One, confused. Crystalline One's color shifted to a soft purple, respect and something like embarrassment. "The bonding ceremony is sacred to us," Crystalline One explained. "When two Valthine wish to share their lives, they touch for an extended period, usually an hour or more. Their lights mix and merge. It is the deepest connection we can experience. An hour is not possible with current technology," Jiwoo said carefully. "The nanites cannot last that long." "We understand," the elder said. "But perhaps someday. If humans continue to push boundaries, perhaps someday even this will be possible." That night, Jiwoo contacted Hana. She explained about the bonding ceremony, about the Valthine's hope for deeper connection. "An hour of contact," Hana said thoughtfully. "That would require a complete redesign of the nanite systems. Maybe even biological modification to the human body. It would take years of research, but it is possible? Jiwoo asked. With humans, anything is possible eventually. But Jiwoo, I have to ask, are you thinking about this for research purposes? Or is there another reason? Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. Then she admitted the truth. Crystalline One told me about bonding months ago, before we could even touch. I think about it sometimes. What it would mean to truly bond with her. To share that connection. You love her, Hana said. It was not a question. Yes, I love her. I know it is strange. She is not human. She will outlive me by centuries, but I love her anyway. Then I will work on it, Hana said simply. No promises, but I will try. Back on the transport ship, Crystalline One was having a similar conversation with the Valthine elders. You love the human? The purple elder observed. Yes, Crystalline One admitted. I know it is complicated. She will age and die while I am still young, but I cannot help what I feel. Love is never simple, the elder said, but it is always worth it. Even when it ends in pain. Especially then, I do not want to lose her, not after finally being able to touch her. You will lose her eventually. That is the nature of loving a species with such short lives. But the alternative is to never love at all. Which is the greater tragedy? Crystalline One knew the answer. Not loving would be worse. Much worse, the evacuation reached 90% completion. Only 800,000 Valthine remained in the dying system. The work was almost done. During this final phase, disaster struck. A solar flare, larger than any before, erupted from the Valthine's dying star. It hit one of the transport ships without warning. The ship's shields failed. Hull breaches opened across multiple sections. Jiwoo's ship raced to help. They docked with the damaged transport and began evacuating passengers. But the radiation from the flare was intense. It was affecting the human crew. We need to seal sections and pull back, the captain of the rescue ship ordered. The radiation is too high, but there were still Valthine trapped in the damaged sections. 200 individuals who would die if left behind. I can get them out, Crystalline One said. The radiation does not harm me, but I need help carrying them. They are injured and cannot move on their own. You would need a human to go with you, the captain said. But no human can survive in those radiation levels. Even with protective suits, Jiwoo stepped forward. I can do it. The nanites protect me from Valthine radiation. Maybe they will help with solar radiation too. That is not what they were designed for, Youngjae protested. We do not know if they will work. Then we are about to find out, Jiwoo said. She grabbed an emergency suit and headed for the airlock. Crystalline One joined her. Together they entered the damaged ship. The radiation was intense. Jiwoo could feel it immediately, like pressure against her skin. The nanites activated, working at maximum capacity. Alarms went off on her suit. The radiation levels were indeed too high, but the nanites held. Barely. We need to hurry, Jiwoo said through gritted teeth. I do not know how long I can last in here. They found the first group of injured Valthine. Crystalline One lifted them while Jiwoo guided the way. They moved through twisted corridors and damaged sections. The ship groaned around them, barely holding together. One by one, they brought the injured Valthine to safety. 200 individuals, each one precious. The work took an hour. By the end, Jiwoo was barely standing. The nanites were failing. Her skin was starting to burn, but they got everyone out. As Jiwoo stumbled back onto the rescue ship, she collapsed. Youngjae caught her and rushed her to medical. Her radiation exposure was severe. The nanites had protected her from the worst, but she had still taken dangerous levels. She spent 2 days in med. The Valthine evacuation was complete. All 8 million individuals had been relocated to New Valthos. The crystal cities grew tall on the moon's surface, beautiful and strange. Humanity had gained new neighbors among the stars. More importantly, they had gained friends. Jiwoo stood on the observation deck of the joint human-Valthine research station, orbiting New Valthos. She looked down at the moon below. It still amazed her sometimes. They had done this. Humans and Valthine working together had saved an entire species. Crystalline One approached from behind. After 5 years, Jiwoo could recognize her partner by the particular rhythm of her steps. The sound of crystal on metal. What are you thinking about? Crystalline One asked. Everything. How far we have come. How much has changed. Much has changed indeed, Crystalline One agreed. She moved to stand beside Jiwoo, close enough to touch. They had learned to exist in that space, near but not always touching. saving the precious minutes of contact for when they really mattered. The nanite technology had improved significantly. Jiwoo's protection now lasted 5 minutes. Other volunteers had undergone the treatment too. Over 200 humans now carried the nanites in their bodies. They worked on joint projects with the Valthene. Engineers, scientists, artists, teachers. Barriers between the species were slowly dissolving. But 5 minutes was still not enough for the bonding ceremony. Hana's research continued. She led a team of 50 scientists now, working on next-generation nanites. They were close to a breakthrough. The new nanites could last 10 minutes, maybe more. But they required modifications to human biology that were even more extreme than before. "I have news," Crystalline One said. "The Valthene Council has made a decision. They want to establish a joint colony. A place where humans and Valthene can live together permanently, not on separate sections of a station, but truly together." "Where?" Jiwoo asked. "A small moon in the Kepler system. It has areas suitable for both carbon-based and crystal-based life. Natural boundaries, but also places where we can meet in the middle." Jiwoo felt excitement rising in her chest. "A real mixed colony. That would be incredible. A proof that different species can build something together. Will you help establish it? The council specifically asked for you. They want you to be the human coordinator." "Of course, yes, absolutely yes." Planning for the colony took a year. They named it Unity Station. The design was revolutionary. Human sections with Earth-like atmosphere, Valthene sections with their crystalline environment, and neutral zones where both species could meet safely. Over 500 humans volunteered to be the first colonists. 2,000 Valthene did the same. They were pioneers building a new kind of society. Minho came out of retirement to help with the project. He was older now, gray at the temples, but his eyes still held that spark of adventure. "I could not miss this," he told Jiwoo. "This is what we have been working toward all along. True integration." Construction of Unity Station took 3 years. During that time, Hana achieved her breakthrough. The new nanites could provide protection for up to 15 minutes. It required significant biological modification. The recipient's cellular structure had to be altered at a fundamental level. The procedure was longer and more painful than before, but it worked. Hana contacted Jiwoo with the news. 15 minutes. It is still not an hour, but it is much better. And Jiwoo, I think we could push it further. With more modifications, maybe 30 minutes. Maybe more. But each step becomes more dangerous. How dangerous? Jiwoo asked. The person would be permanently changed. Their biology would be partly human, partly something else. Something new. We do not know all the implications. They might live longer than normal humans because of the cellular changes. Or there might be side effects we have not discovered yet. Jiwoo thought about this carefully. To change her fundamental biology. To become something between human and not human. It was a huge step. "How long would the procedure take?" she asked. 2 weeks, and the recovery would be another month. "I want to do it," Jiwoo decided. "I want to be able to truly bond with Crystalline One, even if it means changing what I am." Hana was quiet on the other end of the call. Then she said, "I thought you would say that. I have already prepared everything. Come to Earth when you are ready." Jiwoo talked to Crystalline One that night. They sat in one of the neutral zones on Unity Station, holding hands. They had been partners for 5 years now, not married in the human sense, but bonded in the way that mattered. "Hana can give me 30 minutes of contact time," Jiwoo explained. "Maybe more. Enough for a proper bonding ceremony, but it will change me, make me different from other humans." Crystalline One's color shifted to green, sadness mixed with concern. "I do not want you to change yourself for me. You are perfect as you are." "I am not doing it just for you," Jiwoo said. "I am doing it for us, for what we could become together, and I am doing it for everyone else who will come after us, to prove it is possible, to push the boundaries further." "You are sure?" "I have never been more sure of anything." The procedure was even worse than the first time. Jiwoo spent 2 weeks in medical care as her body was fundamentally altered. Her cells were restructured. Her DNA was modified with synthetic sequences that allowed the advanced nanites to integrate completely. She screamed. She cried. She begged them to stop. But Hana held her hand and refused to let her give up. "You are strong, little sister. You can do this. Just a little longer." Youngjae monitored everything. He was older now, too, but still one of the best medical officers in the fleet. He watched Jiwoo's vitals with constant vigilance. Several times they almost lost her. Her body tried to reject the modifications, but each time she fought back. Crystalline 1 waited outside the medical bay for the entire 2 weeks. Other Valthine brought her energy and kept her company, but she never left. She stayed vigil, watching through the windows, her colors muted with worry. On the 14th day, Jiwoo's body finally accepted the changes. Her fever broke. Her vital signs stabilized. She fell into a deep healing sleep. When she woke 3 days later, she felt different. Her senses were sharper. Colors were more vivid. She could feel the nanites throughout her body, no longer foreign but part of her. How do you feel? Hana asked. Strange, good, different, like I am more than I was before. The tests confirmed it. Jiwoo could now maintain contact with Valthine for 35 minutes. Her cellular structure had changed permanently. She was no longer fully human in the biological sense. She was something new, something the scientists called transhuman, for lack of a better term. But she was still herself, still Jiwoo. They prepared the bonding ceremony carefully. It would take place in the central chamber of Unity Station. Both humans and Valthine would attend as witnesses. This was history being made. Jiwoo wore simple white clothes. Crystalline 1 needed no adornment. Her crystalline form was beautiful on its own. They met in the center of the chamber. Around them, hundreds watched in silence. This was sacred to the Valthine, and it was becoming sacred to humans too. Are you ready? Crystalline 1 asked. I am ready, Jiwoo replied. They placed their hands together, palms touching. The nanites activated, but Jiwoo barely noticed. All her attention was on Crystalline 1. Crystalline 1's light began to change. It pulsed and flowed, moving in complex patterns. This was the bonding ceremony, the sharing of light and essence. Jiwoo felt something shift inside her. The nanites were not just protecting her. They were facilitating a connection. Energy flowed between her and Crystalline 1. Not words or thoughts exactly, but emotions. Pure feeling, joy, love, hope, trust, wonder. Everything Crystalline 1 felt, Jiwoo could sense, and Crystalline 1 could sense Jiwoo's emotions too. The barriers between them dissolved completely. Time lost meaning. They stood there connected for the full 35 minutes. When they finally separated, both were transformed by the experience. Crystalline 1's color was something Jiwoo had never seen before. A bright iridescent white mixed with every other color. The Valthine around them gasped. In their language of light, Crystalline 1 was speaking volumes. That is the color of perfect bonding, the purple elder explained to the humans watching. We have not seen it in centuries. She is complete now. They both are. Jiwoo could still feel the echo of the connection. It would fade over time, but it would never completely disappear. Part of Crystalline 1 was now part of her, and part of Jiwoo was part of Crystalline 1. They had truly bonded. The celebration lasted for days, humans and Valthine together, marking the first bonding between their species. Musicians played instruments while Valthine created light shows. There was food for the humans and energy supplements for the Valthine. Different cultures coming together to celebrate connection. Minho gave a speech. 5 years ago, we were told that humans and Valthine could never touch, that our biologies were incompatible, that the barrier was permanent. But humans do not accept permanent barriers. We see a wall and we find a door. We see an impossible problem and we solve it anyway. Today we proved once again that nothing is truly impossible. We just have to be brave enough to try. The speech was translated for the Valthine.